Welcome back to the Sawmill, friends. It's Thursday. I'm going to try to do a quick video here today on this log. Need to make sure it's long enough. I need 8 footers and we're good. It's actually 8 foot 10 inches, so we're in good shape right there. Now this is something I've not sawed on this channel but a few times, but I used to saw cedar for a living. When I first started sawmilling back in 2010, with my LT35, I sawed a lot of cedar for some craft makers down in Pigeon Forge. They made little craft boxes, little knick-knacks and stuff like that out of cedar. I tell you guys, for about the first year that I had my sawmill, that's all I did was saw up cedar for those guys. They couldn't get enough, but unfortunately both of them retired. They're no longer making little boxes and stuff down there, so I kind of got out of the cedar business after that. But I did buy a truckload of cedar just a few months ago. I think I'm going to do a small timber frame with that cedar. More on that later. We'll see what we do on that. But this cedar right here, guys, has been on the ground for at least, probably at least 3 years. This came from Midway, Virginia, over at a friend of mine's farm, and I actually forgot I had it. I dug it out of the log pile just the other day. I got 2 of them actually. And we're going to be sawing these into 1-inch boards, probably as wide as I could get them. And there's a lot of variations here in this bark. With cedar, it's hard to get a perfectly straight cedar log in this area. You guys up in Canada and out west, you got that western red cedar that just grows perfectly straight. You guys have some good stuff. Over in Tennessee, we have to kind of get what we get, and with cedar, there's a lot of variations in the bark here. It's just, you lose a lot to square one up, put it that way, because you got to take a lot of material off to get a square cant. Around here in my parts, this is northeast Tennessee where we're located, people call this eastern red cedar, or at the log yard, it's stamped ERC. Now, a lot of people will complain down in the comments saying you're calling it wrong, it's juniper. Well, if you look in the actual biology book on forestry, I'm pretty sure this is called juniper as far as the species name. But here in the South, it's always been called eastern red cedar, and that's what it's always going to be called. Nobody around here is going to call this juniper, in my opinion. And even if a forester was cruising some timber or a log buyer, even if he knew based on his education this is juniper, he would write it down as eastern red cedar because that's what they call it in this area. And that's just the gist of it, guys. Wherever you're at, if that's what they call that tree, that's what you're probably going to call it. But I hope that clears up the comment section before it blows up. Every time I do cedar, people get on there and say it's juniper. Well, it is juniper, but we call it cedar. Same difference, and it really doesn't matter because everybody knows what it is. So, should be a good log, guys. This is the second cut out of a tree. We had to avoid the first cut because it was at a fence line, so hopefully there's no barbed wire in this or no metal. And like I said, we're doing 1-inch boards on it. And cedar saws pretty good usually, but we will probably have some voids in the very middle. It's a pretty good diameter log. Down here on the operator's side, 19 inches. That's not bad. And down here, you guys can't see, we're looking at about 21 inches down here, but there is a void right there in the middle. That's one thing about red cedar. Once it starts getting any kind of size to it, you always get a void right there in the pit. Guys, you don't always see stuff like this on other sawmill channels, but sometimes there's carpenter ants inside of your log. And this tree's been on the ground, or this log rather, for about 3 or 4 years, which doesn't help things. But with cedar, I've seen carpenter ants in them the day you cut them down, so it's just part of it. That's why I keep this spray on hand at all times. This is some Bayer carpenter ant spray. It also kills termites as well. And it's a good thing to have by your sawmill, guys, because if you don't do something like this, like if I keep on sawing and stack up these boards, just step on the ants and keep on going, I'll get an infestation of carpenter ants up here at the sawmill. And it's happened before. I just got through killing a bunch of them just about 2 days ago. And I'll also go ahead and spray the ground, or the concrete slab rather, around the sawmill, probably again in the morning after we get done sawing today, just to make sure I kill them all. why he always keeps some of this stuff right here on hand. This is some bear termite and black ant or termite. I don't even know what it's called. What in the world's it called? I go on this channel a whole lot. Getting too much bright light coming in through here. Need to tilt the camera. Tilt it. And it doesn't really matter what it is as long as people knows what they're talking about, you know. So I'm not even sure if that even made sense. That makes no sense. My goodness. Thursday. It's Thursday. Be right back. But if he was around here scaling it, he would call it a western. It's a western cedar now. It's not eastern anymore. My goodness. Come on. Right there in the pith. It never fails. I hope that's coming through on camera, my viewfinder. It's not even coming up. I mean, it's down. My goodness. I need a cameraman. Call it. So I hope that clears up the people in the comments jumping on there saying this is juniper. But it's Jupiter. This is Jupiter right here. My goodness, Jupiter.